Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today, due to popular demand, we're going to continue with the next slice of our beach and boardwalk setup on multiple levels. So as I say, the plan today is to continue on with the beach and boardwalk area, all the way that way. We've got about 4 or 5 base plate widths to do, but we'll do the next sort of slice of that. I don't know how much we'll get done, we'll see. I'm going for a bit of a change of tack from the last video, where we used a vast amount of odd shaped and odd coloured pieces to produce a nice supportive structure for each of the base plates. And the ones that are going to have modulars on, like this one, needed quite a lot of support and therefore used a ton of bricks. So if I'm going to continue this on for 1.5 widths plus supporting half a width of railway for 4 or 5 base plates that way, I'm just going to go through far too many bricks. So the comments that I got last time all suggested that I start using wood or boards or something like that. So I've gone through what I have available, and I had an old piece of furniture which was a chest of drawers. And as part of that chest of drawers, I've got several pieces of wood this size, which is about 50 centimetres long and about 20 centimetres wide. And what I plan to do with those, if I move Robin, is basically have them lengthways like this, one above each sort of row of base plates, and then I can have them supporting what will essentially be a modular on the back half and the boardwalk on the front quarter and the railway line on the back quarter, because there is, as you can see, quite a depth there to support, and I don't want this sagging with my high-speed train running on it at high speed. So I'm still going to need a lot of bricks, because I'm going to need to support this from underneath to keep it nice and level. And I'm going to keep the base plates underneath that just to keep everything from moving laterally. And I'm even going to brace it from the side slightly so it doesn't wobble when I'm underneath the tables, causing local earthquakes. So the first thing I need to do is to work out what the height differential is between this piece of wood and what would be the perfect level for supporting base plates, so I can work out how big all of my supports need to be. So let's do that. Right, so I've tried all sorts of different columns of combinations of different brick heights, plate heights, and even tile heights, because they're slightly lower because they haven't got the studs on, of course. And it seems the best fit is 3 bricks and 2 plates. So if I just balance my piece of wood on that, and then bring up, because I'm going for 1 brick lower than this, so if I bring up a base plate with 1 brick on it, and then try and join something across the 2, you'll see that that works quite well, doesn't it? There's no sort of bowing or anything there, so that is a good match. Now, the annoying thing about having that amount of distance between the 2 is it's not a whole unit of bricks, so it's harder to do, and it's going to be more piece intensive if I have to do 3 bricks and 2 plates. So basically, I've gone through absolutely all of my brick bins for parts that usually I wouldn't use, and I'm going to use things like these, for example, which actually are 2 plates high, so I could sort of use a pair of those and a 3 high brick to get to the same height quite effectively, whilst using fewer useful parts. I've got a whole stack of these parts, which again, on part of it are 2 height. So I can use those, maybe with a small plate, just to help get to the right height. And then I'm using all sorts of things like wedge plates as well, where I've got a few of these. I mean, I've got no use for these, so I'm going to use as much of these pieces as possible in order to help create the right level supports. Right, so I've put in all sorts of struts using pieces that I don't need elsewhere. And you can see how much more efficient this is than using tons and tons of bricks. So I just slide the first one under there. Second one. Jutting out slightly further, but that doesn't matter, just because there's a different support underneath the railway bit. And then a third one there. And now I've got a really nice flat solid table layer, and it's not going to bow in the middle at all, even though it hasn't got anywhere near as much support. And if we just check, you can see this base plate with one brick on is absolutely level with our main road and rail level. So our connections will be very good. Now the only thing that remains is this edge here. As you can see, it's sort of unsupported because the table back here only goes up to about halfway between the two rail lines. And the difference between our new table layer, let's call it, and the base plates underneath is about this, which is 2 plates and 1 tile, which is another really complicated and hard to achieve distance. So I'm going to make a much more satisfactory solution to this edge in due course when I make my station, because I'm going to have a platform along here that overlaps this green base plate and the back of the modulars base plates. So that can incorporate some sort of struts to hold this up and hold it flat. But in the meantime, I'm going to put in some temporary struts just to give it some support so I can still run my trains. And a piece that I realised I had a heck of a lot of, but without use for, was these 3x4 modified plates, which obviously are the stands that minifigures like Robin come on. So I thought if I built some sort of temporary structures, meaning that there's a layer of 2 of those plus some tiles on the top, and these are all faded tiles that come from second-hand sort of sets or things that I've bought, bulk lots, that sort of thing, and I slide these underneath here. I've just made 6. Don't get too alarmed by this, as I say, it is temporary, but I can put 6 of those under there. That must be aligned with another strut. There we are. 5 and 6, and then you can see that's much more supported. And then also you can see that this base plate is now level again with a base plate on the new table there with 1 brick. Slightly off. It's much better there than there, but I think that's just the tiniest difference. So I think this is going to work well. Now, while we're here, I just wanted to remind you that the row of base plates underneath here are crossroads that I can't use elsewhere productively in my city. And this next row are faded ones. That's why it's this horrible muddy blue. You won't be able to see these. And I've just put some beginnings of the sand on, because then when I put on some more 8x16 plates on top of the base plates, you see it will conceal that horrible faded one entirely, and we'll get another 16x32 one here. And it's just to demonstrate that the beach is sort of starting off thick at that end and gradually getting thinner. Obviously I'll be using lots more little pieces to make that transition a lot more smooth in due course. You can start to see now that this is the beach level. Obviously the beach wall will be at the back of that. Then there will be a boardwalk, which will be made out of these pieces. Now I haven't decided whether I want to have them this way, which means there'll be sort of a pavement or sidewalk here, a sort of semi-roadway before the modulars, which I think I'll go for because there's a bit of a pavement in front of each of the modulars, of course. So it'll make that road kind of in the middle, won't it? Or I can turn it that way around and have the wall going up to there with a kind of smoother walkway at the edge, and then a much wider pavement going up to and including the modulars, which will be in a row here. So you can just start to see where we're headed. So onto the detail then. Just put in a full-size bright green base plate to represent the first modular. And then I've got the 16 by 16 base plates that I'm using as the boardwalk. And I don't think I will have them that way around, just because I don't want one large pavement on one side and virtually none on the other. I'd rather have the walkway in the middle, I think. So we'll do that. Right, so then I have to work out how I'm transitioning from this level, both here and on this side, down to this boardwalk level. And the first thing I thought I'd do was a set of stairs, using my tiles with stickers on, with the tread plate, which are very attractive stickers, so I like those. And I want to do that on this corner here, but to do that I'll need to sort of cut into this section a little bit. And obviously I don't want to physically cut my lovely 8 by 16 plate, so instead I'll put in a 6 by 16 plate. Push that down thoroughly, and a 2 by 10 plate. It doesn't matter that it's in light grey, that one, because it's all going to be covered by tiles. And then I can put in a little step setup, which is just a combination of more plates in dark bluish grey to sort of link this level with this level. Okay. And I can put on my nice tread plate tiles. Now the bottom step will just be normal tiles. I'll just put 2 on now just to show you the level it will be. So it'll be like that. So the tread plates are just on the raised elements. Then I can add a nice brick to line that edge with, and a 4 long one for there. Then add a banister and another banister. Now don't worry about this edge, it is rough at the moment, but that's going to all be incorporated with the sea wall that will go up from the beach to the edge of this. So this is the very next thing after that. And then just so minifigures don't fall off the rest of this side, I'll just put in some temporary tiles again, just to hold all those bits together. And I can put on a couple of barrier pieces. And it might be that in due course I replace these with a grey barrier, or maybe even some natural barriers like some flower tubs, like I did near the tourist office and souvenir shop. And then here we're going onto Roadway, so I want to incorporate one of the 6 by 8 ramp pieces. And in order to do that, I'm going to need another setup, which is just a few more plates that will accommodate the ramp. And then I'm going to use some curved slopes. Now I don't have enough of the 2 by 2 curved slopes, so I'm using quite a few of the 1 by 2 ones as well. And the reason why I have to use these this time is just because before I was having this slope linking this surface with a road surface, but now I'm actually linking it with a paved surface. It's actually one tile thicker. I put two 2 by 2 tiles there. I can put on the same sort of bollards but with different colours that I have on the other one, and that will sort of be an offshoot from the road, showing that this is something where bicycles or whatever could ride down, but obviously isn't accessible to cars. But I think that's good. So now I can add some more barriers on this side, and technically, if I had enough tiles, I could tile all this area right up to the edge. I'll probably have to think of something fun to have in this corner, otherwise it's a bit of a sort of dead end. Looking good though. Alright, so we've got our steps down, our temporary fence, and a nice ramp as well. So just like last time, I'm going to do the next bit of the monorail system as well, because I have to kind of do these in tandem, otherwise I end up putting stuff in that I then have to completely demolish and remove because one clashes with the other. So the next part of the monorail is a curve like this, so we can start heading towards the main station, and that means we're going to have another small stanchion on the bottom of this connecting bit, which is about there. So that one looks fine. And then we're going to have another, oh dear, somewhere like about somewhere about there. And that isn't good because that just gets completely in the way of the ramp we've just done. So what I might have to do, much like I did on the last corner, use a bigger black brick just to move this pole slightly away from the connecting point, but still connect to it. And I've got a 2x6, a 2x8 and a 2x10, so I can try all three different sizes to see which one works to push this hopefully more kind of over here, if you see what I mean. But this is why I'm doing it in tandem, because if the worst comes to worst, I might have to turn all this around and do it the other way around. Yes, so it's quite simple in the end. If I just do it right next to the ramp and use a 2x6, then I just move the whole structure, basically 4 studs towards the railway line. And I can add on the printed tiles there to hold them in place. Add that back. And then I may as well continue with this monorail line over there and see if I can get it completely crossing the railway line to its final destination. I'm also going to turn these two stanchions by 90 degrees just so they've got the same facing as all the other ones and the ones over there. Right, so I've turned these to 90 degrees so they look similar by facing the same direction. It's a bit of a shame that we've got this big tower of unbroken brick. I wonder if I'll be able to decorate these in due course, maybe with some advertising or something like that at the very least to sort of break them up. But for now, as sort of proof of concept, I'm happy with them being black. Now we've got a large one here, as we said before, but then we can't use a large one right next to the rail crossing because it would actually start interfering with the ramp. So we've used the last small one that I've got, so hopefully I don't need any more small ones before we get to the station. I'm not a massive fan of going from small, small, large, small, but you won't be able to see too much of it when we've got the buildings in, I think. Anyway, the good thing is that we're nearly at the end of the tram line because we've just got to do basically another couple of pieces on the end here and the final station, which will link up with the main train station, and then we can start having the tram running again. Fantastic. Now I think I'm going to do a little bit of the beach seawall so we can start that as well. Now the seawall is quite a simple construction. Where it's 5 high, I'm just going to alternate between a 1x2x5 brick and a 1x6x5 panel. So to continue that along, one of those, one of those, one of those, one of those. And if I get 2 more base plates, one, 2. Oh, I can do it a little bit more. 1, 2. Then I'm going to do a layer of yellow 2 deep plates. Now these will link and give a lot of strength to the whole structure, because now we're actually tying the base plate to this wall. So as you can see, that is not just a pretty decorative stripe. I don't think yellow is the nicest colour in a way, but it's quite cheerful. So putting it around the beach should give it a nice sort of summer glow, I suppose. And then I'm using slope pieces like this, facing with the flat edge towards us, so they can act like the sort of crest of the seawall that somebody might sort of sit on. Whilst eating an ice cream. And they'll sort of provide a barrier between the sidewalk or pavement and the heavy fall. And then I'm going to have things built into this wall, so I'm going to have to take some of this out again when I've planned it a bit further. But I was thinking of doing some beach cabins, either sort of traditional cabins that people can get changed in or just sit and store their deck chairs in. I was also thinking of incorporating the shrimp shack somewhere along this whole line. I mean, we've got about 3 or 4 base plates length, another couple of buildings, a lifeguard thing, and then hopefully we'll end up at the old fishing store as well. So, oh, and I want to add a couple of steps down, wooden steps from this level down to the beach level. So I'm going to finish off this area just on the base plates that we've done today, so you can get a good look at it, and I'll be really interested in your feedback. So another transition I've got to do is from the boardwalk itself down to the beach. So I need to do a stairway, so I'll take off a couple of those and replace one of the 2x4 yellow plates with a 4x6, which is going to need some supportive bricks as sort of legs, 1x2x5s. Then I can put one of those back and a 1x2 slope to make a 3 wide entranceway between the wall. I can get a normal stair piece in reddish brown, push that onto there, add a 2x2 and a 2x3 brown plate, and put some 1x4 and a 1x3 light bluish grey tile for steps. And I can finish off the wall like that. So got somebody walking along the street, can go up here and down here. Now I may have to move this as I incorporate more buildings and lifeguards and all the rest of it along this beach, but it's good to see one in place working now. And another thing, I thought this edge here doesn't look particularly attractive and going around here, and I was thinking a lot of those traditional boardwalks, which is the sort of look I'm going for, have some wood incorporated into them. So I don't know what you think of this, but I'm kind of thinking out loud by adding a reddish brown line of tiles. And I can go around the edge of here as well. So it's almost like a sort of handrail in reddish brown. What do we think of that? And there's a slightly better view of these stairs. I quite like it. The yellow and brown aren't fantastic together, but they're quite sort of kitsch in a way. And remember, we're going to have a lot of other buildings in the way. We're going to have palm trees, even though they don't grow in Nottingham, and lots of other things obscuring this. So I don't think it will be a problem. So I've done this end wall as well now. I haven't done the top of the wall the same, just because it's at a different height, and I don't know what I'm going to be doing here yet, and I want to do it in tune with what's up there. So that's temporary at the moment as well. I've also taken off the light bluish grey tiles from the top of this, just so it looks more wooden right from the top, and I think that looks a bit better actually. But you can start to see now are 3 levels: sea and sand, boardwalk with modulars, and then up the steps or up the ramp to our normal main level. Brilliant! Now lastly for today, I need to add a vehicle to keep up my New Year's resolution of populating my roads. So today I've chosen the camper, which is set 7639. It's quite a nice vehicle this, with a surfboard on top and a bike, going on a nice summer holiday. Palm tree sticker on the front. I like it a lot. The only thing I don't like about this set is it's got a sort of nasty ugly hole in part of its build up at the front, so I'm just going to amend that. So I've just added a round indicator and then 1x1 plate to each side, so when I put that back the space is filled. So I much prefer that. Very good. So I'll put that on the roads there. That's a set from 2009, by the way. So we've done quite a lot today. We've used wooden shelves as supporting structures for these 2 base plates, which will have modulars on them, and to support the boardwalk on those 4 quarter base plates, and even the edge of the railway there as well. And then to transition between the normal layer and that, we've got our ramp, sort of bikes and so on, or pedestrians, and some more steps with a temporary fence in between and afterwards. We've also started our sea wall down to the 3rd layer of sea and beach, and it's quite a basic structure, but we're going to have lots and lots of details in front of it, so I don't need to get too worried about that. And we've got 1 set of steps going up, and then we'll have a pavement on this side and on the other side. Not only that, we've continued our monorail line for the tram system around this corner and onto another straight, so we're almost at where it's going to terminate at the Central Rail Station. Awesome! And not forgetting today's vehicle, of course. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Your view is appreciated, as are your comments and your likes below. And do also remember to subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, I think I'm going to take a break from doing the beach and boardwalk because it's pretty hard work, if I'm honest with you. So I think I'll do something else, maybe building the last shop in the run of shops, or focusing on this area, building some sort of establishment here, or maybe even finishing the tram line. And then I can come back to this shortly afterwards when I've gained more emotional energy. See you next time!